Hello again, everyone. This is Larry Gordon with Malky Gordon Hirsch. This is Father-Daughter, coming to you from the Meaningful Minute Studios in downtown Cedarhurst, New York.
Downtown Cedarhurst, New York. Is there an uptown Cedarhurst, New York?
Actually, it's Midtown Cedarhurst.
Midtown.
If you look out the window,
it's the middle block of Central Avenue.
If you look out the window, it's Midtown Cedarhurst, New York, I would say, approximately.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that you interrupted me, I forgot what I was going to say.
So
anyway, I didn't forget what I was going to say because I don't know what I'm going to say, so It's not a
Exactly. problem.
This is completely unscripted, unprepared podcast. Father, that's me.
Daughter,
And
that's
daughter,
me.
that's Malky. And I don't know, somebody posted it on the Five Towns Jewish Times website, and they said father and daughter with an ampersand in between.
Okay.
I don't know who told anyone to do that. I think it's father-daughter. I don't think
There's no
I don't think
nothing in between?
A slash, an ampersand. I don't think you need anything.
Just father-daughter.
I conceived of this with just father-daughter. I don't even know if you need a separation between.
How
the
long
two-
have you
two
been
words.
planning this out, by the way?
I don't know how long we've been talking about it.
A few months.
Okay, so I've.
What prompted you to start this podcast?
I don't know. When I tell you the truth, I had an idea for a cookbook, as you know, for
Yes.
for
Can
about
we
15
disclose
years.
the title?
No,
Or
no,
let's-
it's not so. The title really is the be the crowning achievement of
true.
it, but we're getting off track. But my idea was, should I give the idea away here? Someone's going to steal it. I'm
You're
afraid.
right. Don't give too much away. Don't give
Yeah.
the title away.
I won't give. I should. The title. You brought it up already. So what am I going to do? Not
Okay. So give
the
it
title
away.
I don't think anybody has the courage or the ability to do it anyway.
Very true. You're right. You're right.
So I think we shouldn't do it. Anyway, the idea was a recipe.
The CEO is nixing the idea. The CEO is Esther Gordon. She's sitting outside the camera range, but she's adamantly refusing to give up the title.
The idea was a book of recipes by men for
men.
And the women are going to buy it like crazy.
Like
when they
crazy
see that.
because they think that their husband's going to start cooking, which is not true.
But a lot of men are very proficient chefs.
You know, the truth is, I'll tell you the truth. I get a lot of inquiries from women because apparently it's not sneistic for a man to message me on Instagram wanting to give their husbands sourdough lessons because there's a lot of men that are very genuinely interested in learning different tools of
that's how those barriers that used to exist.
Yeah, what are these
where
gender?
men didn't go into the kitchen, or the
Right.
women were protective of their
It's no
territory in
longer-
the kitchen.
this is
Doesn't
not our
exist
world.
anymore.
Absolutely not.
I mean, we spent for those of you that read the Five Towns Jewish Times, you know, we spent a month in Ellenville, and I was very surprised by some of by Dovey.
Dovey is very proficient in the
Dovey,
kitchen.
He took over that kitchen.
He's-
you know,
yeah,
He
yeah.
was. I don't know what he was making, but he looked very busy.
Nissan knows how to make poppers.
Listen knows how to make poppers.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep. Naki, do you know how to cook? No.
Naki knows how to shop, and Yochanan knows how to
Eat.
shop too.
Yochanan knows how to eat.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Dovey peeled the potatoes. Is
Yep.
that what you're saying? Yeah, very.
He's an expert potato peeler, and
very
I
graceful.
have the tuna mashing gene.
Yeah, I was.
In addition to many other things.
He was very graceful, Dovey, with peeling those potatoes. I was thinking when I was watching him in July that maybe peeling potatoes should be like an Olympic event. You know, he did it with such so gracefully.
It's like a hot dog eating contest.
He didn't cut
How
himself.
many potatoes can you peel?
It was just amazing how those peels just came off the potatoes. But we're getting. Is anybody timing this? By the way, let me see what time it is. Okay, we don't want to run more than a half hour.
Okay.
Anyway, so as I said in the very beginning, that this is the father-daughter podcast. And completely unprepared and unscripted, as we said, and we don't even talk about it during the week in between recordings, in between broadcasts, because we really want to stay true to that idea, to that philosophy, the spontaneity, you know, and so on and so forth. But I did say to Malky a couple of days ago, let's do a program.
A segment
in which you ask me any question you want on any subject that you want, and I'll do my best to answer.
Okay.
So It's the floor is yours.
Oh gosh. Okay. So I was thinking of writing down a list of questions, but then I thought to myself about what you had said about just
no
preparation.
Let's make believe we're back in high school. We're not prepared for anything.
Fine. So I'm gonna start from the very beginning.
No homework, no nothing, no schoolwork, nothing.
Nothing. So I'm gonna ask you, I think, something that a lot of people probably ask you when they meet you.
No, people don't talk to me most of the time when they
just look at
you. They meet me.
They look at
no,
you?
they don't look at me. They mostly, I just told somebody the other day how I know everything is okay in the newspaper.
Why?
Nobody says a word because when there's a mistake, it's just like an avalanche. So which seems that when there's not a mistake and no one says anything, that's how
they don't compliment you, but they don't say anything.
No, I'm not going to say no one compliments me. Some people do. It's difficult. I understand. Maybe it's begrudgingly. Maybe I haven't figured it out. I haven't psychologically.
It's only been 20 years.
Them.
So
21 years.
21
now.
years.
August is 21 years.
So I have a question for you. For our audience, I'm sure they want to know this as well.
People want to know.
The public wants to know. Exactly.
Inquiring minds want to know.
I'd love to know how this all got started. Not the paper. I'm talking about where did you begin this idea that you wanted to do something different than being, say, an accountant or, something else that a lot of men do?
Well, actually,
work in finance, if you will.
Well, I don't know. I used to tell people that, and now in retrospect, all these years later, after working 45 years approximately or more, in retrospect, I don't know if I could say it, but I don't think it was a miscalculation. I for some crazy reason I followed my heart.
That's very rare for people to do.
I know,
especially when it comes to professional careers.
Yeah, I was very intrigued at a very young age with broadcasting. I like the idea of radio.
But what made you think that I could do that?
Well, two things. First of all, my father was a journalist, as you know, and in a very different age, a very different time, when communications was very underdeveloped.
Right.
When you compare it to today, and I think that just watching him as a kid, made it very, very intriguing to me. So no one told me I can't do it. So I think that's why I decided to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And things like I think 45 years ago, things were kind of uncomplicated to an extent. So I got started in broadcasting.
Did your first radio program when you were how old?
I was 22. 20. First of all, I was on college radio for 3 or 4 years, and then WHBI starting back in 1975, and then WFMU, the famous WFMU, which lasted for over 40 years before it was put to sleep a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And how that translated, intermittently I did other things because
of course, because you were an adult and you had to make money.
It was difficult. We always tried to make money doing these things. I didn't just do it as a hobby. Broadcasting, Jewish radio. Also, I think another thing now that I'm thinking about it, now that I'm talking about it, I think it was the marriage of media with Jewish content, which is what intrigued me, which didn't exist. So how
do you have your finger on the pulse of things that don't yet exist? For example, having a newspaper at a time when, there weren't any local newspapers when you started this newspaper. Jewish newspapers, rather.
That's true. But the big national newspapers in this day and age are not doing well at all because of the electronic media, and the only newspapers that are really flourishing are the local, besides Jewish newspapers, which I'll address in a second, are local newspapers, communities. I'm not talking about Jewish now. The neighborhood newspapers, the community newspapers.
Why is that?
Because national newspapers, people get their national news on the internet,
right? On
Fox News, on CNN, on the New York Times, on the New York Post, whatever.
I would also say that most of your readership is reading their newspapers on Shabbos.
So you see, while print media is going down the drain, the newspapers that cater to people that observe Shabbos and Yontif are flourishing.
Of course,
because of this is there are many markets in the media around the world. There's printers in Long Island City where we print the newspaper.
Right.
They print hundreds of different ethnic publications.
I remember.
Every conceivable language that you could think of. But there's only one niche market where you absolutely shut down every electronic tool or instrument that you have for 25 hours a week. There's no market like that in the world.
Exactly.
And the biggest bonanza in our end of publishing is a 3-day yontif. There's nothing like that. 72 hours.
You should publish a double issue.
It reminds
do you do
me,
a bigger issue
oriented? Well, before Yontif, it's usually bigger.
Yeah.
But you never know. Every week and every year is different. But
Is there not a specific rhythm at this point in your publishing career? It's been
of course
21
there
years.
is. There is, but I don't take anything for granted. And you could ask two of my sons downstairs who work for the paper, Yochanan and Dovi. We don't take anything for granted. We come in on Monday and we work hard because just because this week, last year was successful doesn't mean it's going to be successful this year. There's all different dynamics at play.
Do you remember what you used to say when you first started the newspaper, when we first moved out here?
I think so, but you could
It was my
remind me.
favorite thing. It was my favorite thing.
What was that?
He would say, Malky, there's a revolution happening
The revolution in the five towns.
In the 5 towns.
Well, listen, it was revolutionary, and it was. I think it was a lot of hashgacha pratis, a lot of predestination, which I think is a good translation of hashgacha pratis. And Baruch Hashem, I remember when the first few copies, the paper used to, for the first 3 years, the paper published every other week.
I remember.
And I remember, one of our great distribution points, which is the shuls, which of course stopped for a few months this year because the shuls were locked up. But slowly but surely we're going back to the shuls. Not as many people as usual, but still we haven't reduced the number of papers that we print, but we just distribute it differently now. More at the stores, more boxes on the streets. What?
You have to think outside the box a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, because it doesn't. You can't deliver 500 papers to a shul that's locked, or that has 100 people going there in the course of the week. You're going to have to throw out a lot of papers at the end of the week. What was your question?
My question to you was, well, we were discussing there's revolution in the 5 towns, and then we were discussing.
So you don't remember the question either.
You were answering. I'm sorry.
I know, but I was thinking about something else. I forgot. Remember what she asked? You weren't paying attention either. No one's paying. So this is not.
How you started.
Not only is this unscripted and unprepared, but nobody even remembers what we're talking about.
It's how you started. You know how you started.
How this? So I was telling you that I published every other week.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
Actually, for about a year, 1 year. For about a year, I started publishing every other week because I was flying to California every other week.
For what?
For another job that I had. You came to California with us.
Yes.
So
You were fundraising.
I was working for an organization, and I had to be in and most of the work was in.
I remember that.
In Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So, every other Sunday I would get on a plane and go to L.A.
Right.
This was about 1998, 1999, maybe even early 2000. I don't remember anymore. So that's how publishing every other week started. I never anticipated that the 5 Towns Jewish Times would evolve into the paper that it has, and our distribution area is very extensive. New York, New Jersey.
So when you said this was the revolution, did you think that was really the case, or were you trying to give yourself positive affirmations to
I think it was more positive affirmation than anything else. But
Okay.
I anticipated a void in the market. Because even the larger Jewish newspapers, whether it was the Jewish Week or the Jewish Press, it wasn't talking to the 5 towns,
Right.
Which was at the very threshold of becoming the
flourishing from community.
market that it has become today.
Right.
And I don't know if you want to make this whole segment about
It's
the
literally
newspaper,
the whole segment so far. Yeah.
but I will tell you that. Not because I thought of it, but there is no newspaper like the 5 Towns Jewish Times, and I'll tell you, papers, have their different. Some are more modern Orthodox. Some are all Hasidish. Like the Yiddish newspapers. They have different philosophies. So the Five Towns Jewish Times is the only Anglo-Jewish newspaper that breaks these barriers. We could have Satmar Bika Cholam advertising and Israel Bonds advertising in the same issue. You can have, a yeshiva, a Beis Yaakov in Brooklyn, and Touro College and Yeshiva University, all in the same paper. And that usually doesn't happen.
Right.
You take the magazines, Ami magazine, Mishpacha magazine, which are pretty popular. You're not going to see Yeshiva University in those newspapers
because there are different boxes
they cater to it,
that people.
But the Five Towns Jewish Times breaks down those barriers,
right?
And it's like a crossroads.
It also has really good content.
The content is excellent. We dream about the content all the time.
Yes,
it just has. We have a very, very diverse, I think, type of information that we dispense, and we don't pay attention to what's going on in the other media. My philosophy is that I don't believe I have to tell the world in the Five Towns Jewish Times that Israel and the United Arab Emirates are making peace. I think they're going to find out, some other way.
Right.
We deal with things that don't get the coverage usually.
Right.
Did I answer your question?
I think so.
Okay.
Okay, so
what else?
On to the next question.
Do you have another question?
I do have another question. Originally, my question was going to be, who is your favorite child? But being a mother myself, I thought that was maybe a little unfair and
I could answer that.
Too vague of you to answer.
I could answer that if you want. I can answer that.
But
no, I think
should I ask my other option question?
Yeah, ask your other question.
What are your favorite qualities from each child?
Okay, I think that's a little bit easier to answer, but everyone is very unique and very distinct and bring different qualities into the father-child, the parents, the father-mother, child relationship. Everybody's different.
So that's why I'm asking about what your favorite qualities from each child are.
Well, first of all, first of all, I like the. In your case, you're the oldest. I remember when you were born.
Of course.
I was in the
delivery. That can't be the reason.
Being the oldest is very important. Reuven was the oldest of the Shvatim.
Technically,
and by virtue of the fact that he was the first.
Though.
But that's not something you choose.
Always likes to say that I want to be an only child. That's her favorite thing to say to people, random strangers that meet me. You know my daughter Monkey? She always wanted to be an only child.
I don't know exactly what that means. I don't know what that translates into.
It means
being
that
an only child.
She didn't think that I had the emotional capacity to be an older sibling to my younger brothers and sisters.
At this stage, let's talk about today. You're all adults.
Yes.
Okay. You're all adults. You all have your own children, Baruch Hashem.
Yes.
So I would say that in your case, it's your ingenuity.
Do you need for me to answer you? I could answer for you.
No.
It's my sense of humor and personality.
And I was going to say your ingenuity, your creativity, your drive and your passion, and the way you have risen in the face of adversity, which nobody anticipated, but which everybody knows about, obviously, which we'll have an opportunity to talk about, I guess, some other time.
Sure.
You want to talk about your siblings?
Yeah, Yochanan, go.
Nobody knows them. Are we going to post pictures of everyone in the editing version of this, so people should know who we're talking about?
Why not?
Well, Yochanan is the oldest boy. He's 39 years old, and
14 months younger than me.
14 months, only 14.
Only 14.
14 months younger, and he's very introspective, very thoughtful. He learns well. He's very inquisitive.
He's a prolific writer.
Okay, he's a songwriter and
he's an excellent songwriter.
He's a songwriter. He wrote Pischei Li, and the other night we saw Shulam Lemmer at an event and identified myself as he knows me because we had meals with Shulam Lemmer in Eretz Yisrael when he was a teenager in yeshiva.
It's wild.
And cutting out of yeshiva over Shabbos and having it's a long story.
Okay.
Having lunch on Shabbos with Shine, at the King David Hotel.
You guys
Remember
have
Shine?
such a cool life. I
Remember
don't know.
Shine?
I never met Shine.
Oh, that's a different story. His real name is Jamal Barrow, but let's not get into that now.
Okay.
Just Google Jamal Barrow if you want to know who Shine is. You'll get the whole story. But like I said, he's very creative. He has great passion for Torah and Hasidus, and
He is the resident.
he's one floor
Lubav.
below. He's one floor below us. He along with Dovi are a key part of the success of the Five Towns Jewish Times. And in between the successes, which is one of the things in a family business, I guess, he always has a safer on his desk, open at under his computer keys.
A safer, and some mini egg rolls.
Yeah, well,
a snack.
I don't know about that. Then after Yochanan is Dini, okay, keeping the girl boy system intact and running smoothly. It was messed up at the end, but but it went well for a while. Dini's is also very creative and dependable. An extraordinary young woman, also a great mother, and she is. There's nothing she can't do. She's what I call a go-to girl.
Yeah.
Anytime you want to tell Malki something, you tell Dini to tell her.
Is that how it works?
It makes things much easier. I'm just
no, guys. Thanks so much. Thank you.
Okay. Anyway,
Dovi.
Dovi has proved himself because he's lived in the shadow of you and Yochanan and Dini. You know, being the fourth child. He's very dependable. Very dependable, and when you ask him to do something,
It gets done.
It gets done.
Yeah.
It gets done, and not partially. It gets done to the maximum extent that it needed to get done. No compromises.
Right.
And that's, I'm not going to say that's something that the rest of you don't have.
The truth is, I actually want to
But he
interject.
He shines in that department.
I've never been good with follow through. I think maybe it's part of being creative or a creative.
No, I'm the same. I think I'm the same
follow
way.
through for me was always, or is that how we're like?
By
follow
the way,
through for me was never my strong suit.
Dovi's an extraordinary athlete.
He's incredibly athletic.
He's very strong.
My boys, they love Dovi.
He could he proficient in every sport.
Yeah,
you could imagine, especially hockey. And
I wouldn't want to be on a court with him.
And he's strong. When we come home from our trips, to Israel or from Florida or from wherever we go, I need my suitcases brought upstairs. I call Dovi to bring them up. I can't carry the suitcases up anymore.
Okay, Nissen.
And Nissen also is
He's also
very strong.
Yeah.
Also a great athlete. He's named after my father. He was the first Nissen in my family to be named after my father, and has obviously my father's first name and last name. So you'll have to excuse me, but he has a very special place in my heart. Every time I see that name, my heart flutters.
He did have the most lavish bris.
Well, listen, there are different junctures in life that afford you the ability and the opportunity to do different things.
Could you afford it?
I don't know. You know what? There's a lot of things that we did over the last 40 years that I couldn't afford. But I always thought that you always have to stretch yourself and try to stretch yourself and grow into being able to do those types of things.
Okay.
Do something you can't afford. I'm not saying don't act irresponsibly. Be responsible. Do what you can afford, what you can't afford within reason, and stretch yourself to make it possible. Are we running out of time already? No.
We can't forget Nachi.
Of course, Nachi's right here. He's looking at us. Nissen is child number 5. Like I said, named after my father, which has a special place in my heart, and very sensitive, extraordinarily sensitive to other people's feelings.
He's very empathetic.
When he sees other people experiencing discomfort or an emotional difficulty, it moves him emotionally.
Right.
He can't look away, and just be satisfied with the fact that it's happening somewhere else or by someone else.
He's also the funniest sibling I have. I won't say that he's funnier than me, but it might be like a tie.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not crying because
You're just you have
my eye doesn't
allergies.
stop leaking. I know I'm acupuncture is treating it, but I couldn't get an appointment for a few days. So after 2 or 3 days after each treatment, she sticks a needle in my eye.
Okay, let's move on to Nachi.
It Nachi is it brings up the rear, so to speak. He's the youngest child.
Right.
He's right here, and it's very easy to get lost in the pack when there's
As the youngest, do you think so?
When there's 6 children, it's very easy to get lost in the pack.
Nachi made sure that didn't happen. That's for sure.
No, I think I'm not going to say. I think
he was like, you know what, guys, I don't really feel high school. I'm just not going to go anymore.
I think that
my parents, when I wanted to take a day off because I had 100 fever, my mother was like, "Pop a Tylenol, get on that bus. Get on the bus."
That's because
you're
the first.
But with Nachi, I don't want to attend 12th grade. Okay, you know
well,
what?
Listen,
I'm 50. I'm tired.
We could do.
I can't do this anymore.
We could do.
Nachi, if you don't want to do senior year, you take your exams and we'll call it a day. You could just hang out on Sunset. Totally. Have a bagel.
Let's not even know if Nachi was ever even on a school bus.
Nachi was never on a school bus.
I
used to walk to tag when I missed the bus. My mother would be like, "Oh, you missed the bus, Malky? Start going. Start walking.
Listen,
you have 3 miles."
It was only Nachi's class on Sunday morning that I drove a car at 5 stops, and I drove a car to Yeshiva for Rockaway with nobody in the car. Nobody made nobody made the carpool.
You never drove carpool because I drove carpool. That was the only way I had privileges.
You drove his carpool
for the car.
I don't think so.
My parents would say, "Malky, you want to drive the car? Okay, go to Darche."
I drove him plenty. I drove him plenty, but mostly what I remember is the winter mornings when it was 4 degrees outside, and going outside and getting the ice off the windshield, and driving by 5 houses and have someone's arm come out the door, waving me away. Go ahead, it's not going today.
They didn't have WhatsApp in those days.
Couldn't anybody tell me that the kids aren't going to school today? So, but Nachi has demonstrated. Great, extraordinary creativity and an ability to have a feel for changing technology and how to keep pace with it, and how to monetize it.
That was sort of an accident.
And listen, the media is a new breed of media today.
Media
because
is such
the globe,
a powerful thing.
The globe is. I'll just tell you one more thing because we're running out of time. I took media courses in Brooklyn College in the 1970s.
Right.
And I always remember in one of those classes, there was a social scientist on media. His name was Marshall McLuhan. And he said something that in like 1970, 73 or 74, he one of the teachers said that Marshall McLuhan said that one day, everyone's going to have their own television show.
It's crazy that he said that.
And I thought that's the most ridiculous thing in the world. I mean, Ed Sullivan was on television, The Bonanza was on television. How could everybody have their own television show? And lo and behold, everybody has their own television show today.
It's true.
It's an amazing thing.
It's true.
That was he said that 50 years ago. Anyway, any other questions, or that's it for this segment?
For this segment, that's it. We're done.
Father-daughter.
Yeah.
So we want to thank you once again for joining us on this segment number 2 of Father-Daughter, Larry Gordon, Malky Gordon Hirsch, here at Meaningful Minutes Studios. Thank you very much for joining us, and have a good day, everyone.